My project is about income inequality in the U.S. One of the first things you have to understand is the statistics facing America today. The top 1% have 20% of the income in the U.S. This means that very little amount of people are getting a majority of the income. The United States is the only country in which the income gap continues to grow. Other countries are making steps to decrease their income gaps so that there is more of a equality among their nation. In a survey done, 55% of Republicans say that this income gap is not a problem. However, 61% of Democrats say it is a big problem. Many people would agree with the Democrats that this income inequality is a huge problem and that the U.S. needs to take steps to reduce it. Another statistic of the U.S. is that the top 400 Americans own more wealth than the bottom 150 million combined. The problem is income inequality. In the U.S., the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. Today, many Americans are okay with just getting a little bit of a raise or a little bit more of pay, even though the rich are getting a huge amount of raise or a huge amount of increase in what they're paid. The tax brackets are not sufficient. In the tax bracket, the rich are having to pay equal or lesser than the poor based on what they make. The percentage is less than what the poor are having to pay for taxes. The inequality in income also is affected by different demographics, including race and gender. This is very much a problem because we are profiling people and making their pay less based on these demographics. Obama called income inequality the defining challenge of our time. He understands that this is a big problem in the U.S. in which we need to take steps to decrease the gap. Next are some possible solutions in which we can decrease that gap. One would be breaking down social barriers. Not many people are educated on this topic, which means they need education, and we also need to make sure that we are taking the steps to have less of a distinction between the rich and the poor. We also need to improve education. We need to make all schools, public, private, any school, equal to each other. This way we are having the same amount of money sent out to each school, the same kinds of teachers being sent to each school. We also need to make higher education affordable. If we make higher education affordable, then the people are not stuck in the income bracket that they have been stuck in for the rest of their lives because they are furthering their education. Another possible solution would be to raise the minimum wage. If we raise the minimum wage, then people can afford college, which can get them a better job, which can equal to a better income for those people. One of the things we touched on the slide before was to fix the tax bracket. This needs to be fixed so that income is higher. If the income is higher for that person, that they should be paying more taxes. Another possible solution would be to give employees a voice. Make unions that matter. Let the employees know that the opinions they have will be heard and that we are taking those steps to make their working conditions better. Next, we need to put restrictions on donations to political campaigns. Those who don't have money don't have political influence. This should not be a factor in who is influenced in the political affiliations. We need to make sure that everyone has equal say in how people are being voted into office. Another possible solution that could fix the gap would be to give money to the poor. Rich and poor, black and white, it doesn't have to be this way. We need to make sure that there is less of a distinction between each group. Finally, the conclusion. Income inequality is a huge problem in the US. The statistics show that the gap continues to grow. That is because people don't have the fight in them to decrease the gap. There are many possible solutions. They might not all be perfect, but we need to make the steps to decrease the gap. And last but not least, we need to make sure the demographics aren't a factor in the income. We need to make sure that we are not separating people based on demographics that they cannot help. Help the U.S. change this problem before there's too big of a barrier that we can no longer see the other side.